Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. I am Ryan Bowling, and thank you all for joining me. So, the city of Huntington Beach, California, which is one of the last conservative strongholds in the deep blue state of California, has decided to cancel all of their month-long identity celebration, like Black History Month, Pride Month, Women's Month. They decided to vote and to cancel all of those celebrations in favor of focusing on the history of the city. Now, we're going to get right into this article because right off the front, I'm pretty sure that some people may look at that and say, oh, that's racist, oh, that's sexist, oh, that's transphobia, or that's homophobic, or whatever. First thing will come to people's minds. I'm not saying anyone here, but I'm just saying, if first thing will come to people, oh my God, that's sick. Well, let's read into it and find out exactly what they're talking about, because I have thought about this long and hard, and my view is probably not going to be agreed with as well. But I think you will understand where I'm coming from, because I've held this view for a long time. So let's get right into this. Yeah, they decided to cancel all of that. And it says the city of Huntington Beach, California, one of the last conservative strongholds in the deep blue state, has voted to cancel all of the separate month-long celebrations for various identity groups in favor of a celebration of the common history of the town. The Orange County Register reported last week, and this is their words, Huntington Beach leadership is ending the city's current heritage and identity commemorations, such as Women's History Month, and in their place will create celebrations focused more on the community's history. The city council's majority on Tuesday night directed city staffers to develop a history program with monthly themes that include the founding of the city, the discovery of oil, and celebrating local libraries. The city in 2024 won't formally celebrate Black History Month, Women's History Month, or Pride Month. The council asked for a new committee to be created, made up of 7 to 9 people, to develop the program for future years starting in 2025. The committee would meet a few times a year and work with the Historic Resources Board. Officials said that such identity-focused celebrations could be added to the calendar in the future, but would not be mandated for 2024. That's the key word. It's important, the mandating, okay? Huntington Beach, also known as Surf City, USA, has opposed the left-wing state of California on a variety of policies, such as beach closures during the you-know-what pandemic, mask and you-know-what mandates, and sanctuary state laws and mandatory low-income housing. End of article. And everything I just named right there, history has shown that stuff tends to be detrimental to the community. It's supposed to help the community, right? But history have always showed that it tends to be detrimental, okay? Now, right off the back, as I said in the introduction to this video, some may look at that as being racist and sexist and homophobic. What are they doing, okay? Without any empirical evidence whatsoever to prove that assertion. And it could be, maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know the thoughts of the council. I have no clue what they were thinking. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they could be a council of KKK members. Who knows? I don't know. But I will say this. I believed this for quite some time. And at first I didn't believe it because I was not as informed. As I started informing myself and educating myself and started gaining more knowledge on history and more knowledge on the political parties and the difference between the right and the left and so forth, I started having more of an understanding. The Bible talks about this in the book of Proverbs, 3rd chapter, and all that get an understanding. So I try to get an understanding because you can't apply what you know if you don't understand what you know. Okay. Now, having said that, for quite some time now, I have believed that things such as Black History Month, Pride Month, Women's Month, and all of these months dedicated to specific identity groups, okay, should be something that those groups do privately on their own time. It should not be mandated, in my opinion, by the local, state, or federal government. That's like because to mandate someone to do something is to make them do it. If they don't do it, you penalize them. How in the world are you going to mandate someone who's outside that group to recognize that group? It's like me saying, I'll use myself as an example. Say, for instance, I run a Christian school. I'm the president of a Christian school, and the government comes in and says, well, we want you, we're going to mandate to you that you teach a course on how to become a occultist. Okay. Now tell me that's right or wrong. It's wrong as far as I'm concerned, because you want to know why? I'm the one, the president, I'm the one that has to make sure that the bills are paid, that the employees are paid. I'm the one that has to make sure that all that is done. Okay. And whatever budget that I have, assuming that it's privately governed, which is more than likely it will be, okay, I would have to take a portion of that income or that profit and allocate it to this new curriculum that the government wants to mandate me to do. It's interesting how the government mandates companies and schools and people to do certain things that they don't want to do, and then back up and say, we're not going to pay for it, you're going to pay for it. And if you don't do it, we are going to penalize you. That is wrong. I disagree with that. Something like Black history, let me look at this Black history situation. We're going to deal with that for a few minutes here. In the early history of America, we all know about slavery and all that kind of stuff. We all know about it. I'm not going to go over that. But there was a reason why a lot of Black churches, okay, celebrated Black history in their churches. Now, I don't agree with, our church doesn't do it, okay? And I'm glad we don't do it, because my pastor said we don't do it because by right, every race would come in there, because the church, the biblical church, okay, the way the Bible describes it, incorporates every person of all ethnicities. Black, white, Hispanic, doesn't matter. Jesus died for us all. That's what the church is made up of. If you just recognize one ethnic group or one race, then by right, every race can do it. Every race should be recognized. Every race should be given honor to. That was his philosophy. And I agree with that. Okay? So we don't have no Black History Month in our churches. But in the past, particularly in the 60s, later 60s, the 70s and 80s, a lot of Black churches incorporated Black History Month in the churches because they believed that a lot of Blacks, throughout, which they were right to a large extent, was not getting recognized for what they were doing in the public school systems and by the government. So they felt that the only way to recognize the accomplishments of these Black men and women was in the church, which was a safe haven for many Blacks during this time. Okay? It's not now, but back then it was considered to be a safe haven. So a lot of pastors and leaderships in these Black churches would incorporate Black History Month in their peripherum of programs. But the thing was that as time went on, that no longer was needed. Yeah, as time went on, Blacks began to kind of stray away from that concept. But it can be understood why Black churches incorporated Black history, recognizing Blacks and their accomplishments in the church, because they felt like the government, the schools and so forth weren't recognizing it. So to make a long story short, that was when it started, the government started mandating Black history programs in the schools and so forth. And when I look back at it from retrospect, I can understand, but knowing what I know now, I don't think it's necessary. I think that should be something that you do on your own. If you want to know about Black history, you should learn that on your own, not mandate. You shouldn't mandate that kind of activity on the schools, because the schools have to pay for it. First of all, if you create a Black history curriculum, guess what? You got to hire teachers that are educated in that. That means you got to pay them. You got to create a curriculum, okay, which means you might have to pay somebody to create the curriculum, right? You know, it's interesting. Like I said, the government good at mandating stuff on people, but then they don't want to pay for it. Just like the government likes to mandate increasing the wages on these companies and businesses. To keep up with inflation, we mandate and we protest that you raise the wages to keep up with inflation, when in reality, inflation is their fault. But I'm not going to go into the detail of that because it'll take too long. It isn't the corporation and businesses' and fault that inflation is going sky high, but they mandate businesses and corporations to raise the wages to keep up with inflation. Is that fair? No, it's not, as far as I'm concerned. Because they got to pay for all of that stuff. When you mandate someone, you're trying to make them do what you want them to do with a penalty tied to it if they don't do it. And so, however way you may look at it, the Pride Month, I'm not going to give the same principle. You want to celebrate people that's gay or whatever, do that on your own time. Women's history, that's the same principle. What the schools should be teaching, in my opinion, is teaching the curriculum that they were originally designed to teach. And that's for all people, not just a special group of what's considered marginalized people. Okay, when you go to school and you go to the math class, the math is designed to be taught to everyone that comes to that math class. When you go to science class, the science is designed to be taught to everyone that comes to the science class. When you go to, okay, it is what it is. You get the point. All those classes the schools should be teaching on. That should be mandated, not some special marginalized concept, okay, for the various reasons that I gave, in my opinion. Okay, so like I said, someone may have a problem with this city in California, this conservative stronghold. Look, I have no problem with it. Now, people can holler, well, it's racist. What evidence do you have that that's racist? What evidence do you have that what they're doing is homophobic? What what evidence do you have, empirical evidence do you have to say that, okay, they're putting women down? It says in an article that they wanted to focus on the history of the city, not somebody else's history. You can you're spending all your time focusing on Black history, or I won't say all your time because it's a month or whatever, but you're spending that month's time focusing on a particular marginalized group when you can be focusing on all of the different areas and variables of that city. Because you're going to need an education in that city. You're not going to need an education in Pride Month or Black History Month or Women's Month. You're not going to need an education in that. If you're living in the city, you're going to need to know about the city. Same principle. For example, in America, we live in America. Some people have a problem with that. Some people don't. I don't have a problem with it personally. And when I go to school, I want to go to school and learn about what this country is about. I don't want to know about this group and that group and that group. If I want to learn about that group, they have what's called public libraries. They're all over the place. In fact, you don't even have to go to the library to learn. You can just Google it. Okay, Google, okay, Microsoft, they'll be more than happy to help you with something that's dealing with marginalized groups. Okay, they'll be more than happy to help you with that. Okay, but to mandate it, no, I go my own and learn about that. And that's my opinion on that. But to mandate it in the schools, I disagree with that. And I have to support this particular city's attempts at saying, look, we're going to focus just on the history of the city, the finding of oil and so forth. We're going to focus on that because this is what they believe the residents need to know. Anything outside that, you can study it on your own time. You can look that up on your own time. And that's interesting because that's exactly what I support and agree with. Whether people agree with that or not, hey, it's your business. I know history too. So, like I said earlier, I know history too. So if someone's spitting history to me, I spit it right back at you. Tell me something I don't know. Well, there's a lot of things I don't know. I ain't saying that in pro Lord to you be the glory. I ain't saying that in pride, but you get my point. I'm not totally dumb. I'm not totally ignorant. Okay, I know something about history. Having said that, that's just my view on that. Okay, that's just my view on that, and I think that they made the right move. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens after this. So, what do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all, and see you again.